Welcome to another deep dive, and today we're looking at The Good Doctor by Jessica Payne.
Oh, yeah. This one is it's a psychological thriller.
It
Yeah,
is.
definitely a suspenseful read.
It is, and we're going to be kind of looking at the relationship between an ICU nurse, Chloe, and Dr. Jameson.
Right, and looking at his past and some of his methods, they raise some questions for sure.
Yeah, so kind of the setup here is that we have Chloe, an ICU nurse, who moves to Portland to kind of get a fresh start, a new job,
Mm-hmm.
and she bumps in to guess who?
Oh, I know this one. Her ex-husband,
Her ex-husband.
Jameson.
Jameson, who's a doctor,
Right.
but he has a little bit of a chilling reputation.
Yeah, he's called Dr. Death
Yeah.
because he advocates for physician-assisted suicide, which is legal in Washington state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so very interesting. Very awkward to bump into him.
Super awkward.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. So the novel actually unfolds in two timelines,
Okay.
which I think is really interesting. We've got now, where Chloe is navigating this whole unexpected reunion and investigating these patient deaths.
Right.
And then we have then, which takes us back to their marriage.
Right.
So we're going back and forth and trying to piece together what went wrong between them and how it all connects to the present day mystery.
Got it. Okay. So the suspense starts pretty quickly.
Right away.
Chloe is pulled into a task force that is investigating these deaths at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who's at the center of it?
Oh, it's got to be Jameson.
Jameson, her ex-husband.
Yeah.
And there are all these little clues that are dropped, kind of hinting that something's not right.
Yeah. What kind of clues are we talking about?
Well, like mysterious vials of medication
Okay.
found in Jameson's apartment. There's some missing security camera footage.
Interesting.
So it's like all these little red flags are popping up.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, is he a doctor who's just pushing the boundaries of end-of-life care, or is there something a little more sinister happening?
Right. It really makes you think about how much we trust people, especially in a hospital setting.
Exactly, because lives are literally at stake.
Right. Have you ever had that gut feeling that something's off with someone you're close to?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, and that's kind of the psychological tension that Payne really nails in this book.
Yeah, I think the novel goes really deep into the theme of trust and betrayal, not just in relationships, but also in our professional lives.
Oh, absolutely.
How much are we willing to overlook because we trust someone, and then what happens when that trust is shattered? I think that's something we can all relate to.
Totally. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit to Chloe and Jameson's past.
Okay.
We find out that they met at a Seattle hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and their connection is kind of ignited in this really intense environment of the ICU.
It's almost like that environment fueled their attraction.
Right.
Yeah.
The fast-paced life-or-death situations.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, Payne paints a really vivid picture of their early romance. We see them stealing moments in hospital stairwells. They have all these dreams of a future together, and Chloe finds a sense of belonging that she's been craving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very intense and passionate. It's a whirlwind that quickly leads them to marriage.
But even in those early days, there are cracks in the facade, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Chloe starts to notice that an unusually high number of Jameson's patients are dying.
Yeah, that would definitely set off some alarm bells for me.
Me too. And she confronts him about it directly,
Good for her.
but he brushes off her concerns.
What does he say?
He blames it on the nature of their work in the ICU. And this is where the seeds of doubt are planted.
Right. It's like that nagging feeling that you just can't shake off.
Yeah.
Like something just isn't adding up.
Exactly. And then things escalate.
Oh, okay.
Jameson proposes to Chloe.
Oh, wow.
And to celebrate, he whisks her off on a surprise trip to Hawaii.
That sounds amazing.
It does sound romantic, right? But except their siblings are tagging along,
Boo.
including Chloe's brother Nathan, who's terminally ill.
Okay, this is where things get really complex.
They do.
Because Nathan asks Jameson for help ending his life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so suddenly we're dealing with physician-assisted suicide.
Yeah.
And I think Payne does a really great job of not shying away from the ethical dilemmas here.
Right.
She presents a very nuanced exploration of end-of-life care.
Mm-hmm.
It makes us consider the moral gray areas and confront our own beliefs about death and dying.
Yeah, it really makes you think, what would you do if someone you loved asked you for that kind of help?
Such a tough question.
It is, and the novel doesn't offer any easy answers,
No.
but it does highlight how these decisions have a ripple effect.
Right. It impacts everyone involved.
Yeah, so Chloe's already grappling with her suspicions about Jameson and his patients,
Mm-hmm.
and then finding those mysterious vials in his drawer during the trip.
Oh.
It just intensifies her fear and uncertainty.
Yeah. Her world is starting to crumble around her.
Right. And that ultimately leads to Chloe making a really heart-wrenching decision.
What does she do?
She walks out on Jameson. She leaves their marriage behind.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she leaves everything behind.
Everything.
It's like an act of self-preservation.
It is. She's caught in this web of secrets and suspicion, and walking away is her only escape.
It's a decision fueled by fear and betrayal.
Absolutely. Imagine feeling so conflicted about the person you love.
Oh, I can only imagine.
That's the emotional turmoil she's going through.
Yeah.
So fast forward 3 years,
Okay.
Chloe's in Portland trying to move on with her life.
Mm-hmm.
She's engaged to Elton, a fellow nurse,
Okay.
and she's desperately trying to convince herself that she's finally found peace.
But fate have other plans, I bet.
Of course.
Yeah.
Bumping into Jameson just throws her world back into chaos.
Right.
And then those mysterious medication vials reappear.
Oh, no.
This time in his office at the hospital.
It's like her past is coming back to haunt her.
It is.
Little.
And to make matters worse, she discovers that the nurse practitioner who held her position before her vanished without a trace.
Okay, so now we have like a missing person.
We do.
On top of everything else.
It makes you wonder, is there a pattern here?
Right? Are these just coincidences or is something more sinister going on?
Yeah, and Chloe's determination to uncover the truth, it just intensifies. And the stakes get higher with every passing moment.
It's like a ticking time bomb.
It is, and we're right there with her trying to figure out what's going to happen next.
Totally, we're hooked.
Hooked.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like she's playing with our expectations, you
Right.
know, leading us down one path and then suddenly veering in a completely different direction.
Totally. And just when you think you've got a handle on things.
Bam, another twist.
Damn, another twist, exactly.
And I think the novel also explores this theme of perception versus reality.
Okay.
Like how much of what Chloe's experiencing is based on her past trauma, her own fears, or is her intuition guiding her towards something dangerous? You know, a dangerous truth.
It's a question that lingers throughout the story.
Definitely.
And I think it's something we can all relate to. Like,
Oh, for sure.
how do we know when to trust our gut feelings, even when they might contradict what we want to believe?
Exactly. It's like, are we letting our past experiences cloud our judgment?
Right. And that's what makes this book so relatable, right?
Totally.
We're right there with Chloe second-guessing ourselves,
Yeah.
trying to decipher what's real and what's not.
Yeah, the line between fact and fiction, it just keeps blurring.
It does.
And then to make things even more complicated, Payne throws in this discovery of the kill book.
The Kill Book.
Yeah, it's this notebook filled with Jameson's detailed records of patient deaths.
Oh, wow.
On the surface, it seems like research, you know,
Right.
but the level of detail is almost obsessive.
Oh.
And it makes you wonder, is he trying to like control death by studying it?
Right, or is there something darker going on?
Right.
And just when Chloe thinks she's starting to piece things together, her fiancé Elton discovers her digging into Jameson's past.
Oh, that's not good.
It's not, and they have this huge confrontation.
What happens?
Elton accuses her of being obsessed with her ex-husband, and the trust between them starts to crumble.
That's tough. It shows how secrets and suspicion can really poison even the strongest relationships.
Yeah, and it's a reminder that even the people closest to us can get hurt when we're holding on to something from the past.
It's a universal struggle, right? Trying to balance the need for truth with the desire to protect those we love.
Absolutely. So facing mounting pressure from Elton and her own growing fears, Chloe decides to confront Jameson directly.
Oh, that's a bold move.
It is. It's risky, but she's desperate for answers.
Yeah, I could see that.
So they have this really tense meeting.
Oh, I bet.
They know each other so intimately, but there's this wall of suspicion between them.
Right.
Jameson denies any involvement in the patient deaths, but his explanations are full of inconsistencies.
That's suspicious.
And Chloe's intuition tells her he's not being truthful.
So she doesn't believe him.
No, and then just when you think things couldn't get any more complicated, Jameson drops a bombshell.
What does he say?
He admits to watching her for years, even manipulating her into taking the job in Portland.
Wow, that's creepy.
It is super creepy and controlling.
Yeah.
And then after all that, he claims that someone else planted those medication vials to frame him.
So now he's playing the victim.
Right. I mean, at this point, who do you even believe?
I don't know. It's like a constant game of cat and mouse.
It is.
And the reader is left wondering who's really pulling the strings.
Totally.
It's like Payne is deliberately keeping us off balance, you know, forcing us to question our own perceptions.
Yes, so despite her better judgment, Chloe agrees to help Jameson figure out who's framing him.
Really?
Yeah,
I can't believe she's trusting him again.
I know. And their investigation takes them deep into the underbelly of the hospital,
Okay.
and they uncover a web of secrets and lies that implicates several staff members.
So it's not just Jameson.
No, it's like they've stumbled into this hornet's nest.
Oh, man. And the tension just keeps building because they realize they're dealing with someone who's willing to kill to protect their secrets.
Yeah, the stakes are very real now.
Definitely.
And just when they think they're getting close to the truth, another patient dies under suspicious circumstances.
Oh, no, not another one.
Yeah, this time it's Mr. Gardner, a man Jameson was treating.
Okay.
But what's really chilling is that this happens while Jameson is under close observation.
So he couldn't have done it.
Right, which means someone else is carrying out these killings.
And they have access to the hospital and medical expertise.
Exactly. So now they're not just trying to clear Jameson's name.
Right.
They're trying to stop a murderer.
This just got a whole lot more intense.
It did. And to make matters worse, Chloe discovers that the security cameras were turned off during Mr. Gardner's death.
Talk about a cover-up.
I know, it's like a total cover-up.
This is crazy.
It is, and it ramps up the paranoia.
Of course.
They don't know who to trust, and it seems like danger is lurking around every corner.
It makes you think about how vulnerable we all are, even in a place like a hospital that's supposed to be safe.
Right, so facing mounting evidence and a growing sense of dread, Chloe and Jameson turn their suspicions toward Laura.
Laura Jameson's sister.
Yes. Could she be involved in the killings?
Well, yeah.
I mean, the idea of suspecting a loved one, especially someone as fiercely loyal as Laura, is just mind-boggling.
It is. It adds another layer of complexity to the story. You know, how far would you go to protect your family, even if you question their actions?
Right.
It's a moral dilemma that forces us to confront our own beliefs about loyalty and the limits of forgiveness.
But just as they're zeroing in on Laura, she reveals that she was out of the country when the first suspicious death occurred. You know, the one involving the missing nurse practitioner.
Oh, wow. So if it wasn't Laura, then who was it?
Exactly. Could there be more than one killer involved?
This is insane. It throws their whole investigation into chaos.
It does. It's like they're taking one step forward and two steps back.
Right.
Nothing is as it seems.
Yeah.
And the lines between truth and deception, they just get blurrier and blurrier.
I feel like I'm in a maze.
Yeah. And then things take another dark turn.
Oh, no, what now?
Chloe starts receiving these cryptic text messages from Jameson.
What do they say?
He claims that everything's going to be okay, but then he disappears from the hospital.
That's so strange.
It just doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't.
And these messages, coupled with his disappearance, they make Chloe wonder if she's been wrong about Jameson all along.
Oh, man. Is he the mastermind behind everything?
It's a question that lingers, and the tension just keeps building.
So what does she do?
Well, just when she's about to confront Jameson about the messages, she learns that her fiancé, Elton, has been assigned to care for him in the neuro ICU.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
That's a nightmare scenario.
it is the realization that Elton is alone with Jameson, a man he clearly resents. It's terrifying.
Right. It highlights how vulnerable patients are in a hospital setting
Exactly.
and how easily trust can be abused.
So, driven by this sense of urgency and fear, Chloe rushes to the hospital.
Does she make it in time?
She does, but when she gets to Jameson's room, let's just say she doesn't find what she expected.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to find out what happens.
Huh.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to find out what happens.
It's like walking into a horror movie. Jameson's injured. There's a syringe on the floor and Elton standing over him. It's clear something terrible has happened.
Oh wow, Payne really doesn't hold back in this scene.
No, she doesn't. It's raw and chaotic and just emotionally charged.
Yeah, it's like the culmination of all the tension and suspicion that's been building throughout the novel.
Exactly. And then, as if things couldn't get any more twisted, Laura emerges from the shadows.
Oh my gosh, so now we've got all the players on the board.
You do, and the stakes are higher than ever.
This is insane. I love it when authors throw in a twist like this.
Me too. It's brilliant.
It is.
Just when you think you've figured out who the villain is, Payne flips the script and reveals that the truth is way more complicated.
Right, and it really adds another layer to the novel's exploration of trust.
How so?
Well, it's not just about romantic betrayal anymore. It's about the violation of those family bonds, the shattering of the trust that we place in those closest to us.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So Laura accuses Chloe and Jameson of being involved in the patient deaths, but it's clear that she's the one who's been orchestrating everything.
Wow, what a betrayal.
I know, especially for Chloe, who thought she could at least trust Jameson's sister.
Right. I mean, that's gotta hurt.
It does, and then in this moment of pure adrenaline,
Yeah.
Elton attacks Jameson.
Oh, wow.
But Laura intervenes and injects Elton with a sedative.
She's protecting him.
The power dynamics in this scene that shifts so quickly it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, Payne is a master at creating these intense confrontations.
She is, and it really exposes the true nature of each character.
Right, we see Elton's jealousy and rage, Laura's manipulation, and Chloe's just caught in the middle of it all.
Yeah, she's struggling to make sense of the chaos.
So what happens next?
Well, in the aftermath of this crazy confrontation, the truth finally starts to unravel.
Okay.
Turns out Elton is the killer.
Elton.
Yeah, he was driven by his obsession with Chloe and his resentment of Jameson.
Wow, that's a pretty twisted motive.
It is, but it makes sense when you think about it. Elton's always been portrayed as possessive and insecure,
Right.
and his actions are like this really messed up expression of his love for Chloe.
It's a chilling reminder that evil can really lurk beneath the surface of anyone.
It is, and it's a reminder to be wary of those who try to control us,
Absolutely.
who try to isolate us from others.
Those are definitely red flags.
So with Elton behind bars and Laura's secrets exposed, Chloe and Jameson find themselves drawn back to each other.
I was wondering if that would happen.
Yeah, they've been through so much together, and there's this sense of shared trauma that binds them.
Right. But the reunion has to be bittersweet, right?
It is. There's a glimmer of hope that they might be able to rebuild their relationship,
Okay.
but there's also a lot of baggage.
Yeah, the trust between them has been shattered, and I don't know if it can ever be fully repaired.
Yeah, and just when you think they might have a chance at a fresh start, Jameson drops another bombshell.
What does he do this time?
He admits to manipulating Chloe into taking the job in Portland.
What?
Yeah, he was hoping to keep her close and monitor her actions.
Oh, no, he's still trying to control her.
He is, and it's a real blow to Chloe, especially after everything she's been through.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if she'll ever be able to escape her past.
Right. Will she ever be able to fully trust anyone again?
That's a great question, and that's where Payne leaves us.
She does. The novel ends with a sense of uncertainty, this lingering question about trust and redemption.
It definitely makes you think.
So after this deep dive into The Good Doctor, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I think the novel highlights how complex human relationships can be.
Yeah,
We're all capable of both love and betrayal.
right. And sometimes the line between the two is incredibly thin.
It is, and The Good Doctor is a good reminder that even in the most intimate relationships, there are secrets lurking beneath the surface.
Yeah, it's a thought-provoking exploration of the darker side of human nature.
Absolutely, and how love can twist into obsession.
Right, and the really devastating consequences of betrayal.
And for you listening, I think the key takeaway is to pay attention to those gut feelings.
Yes, don't ignore the red flags.
Trust is precious. It's worth protecting.
Thanks for guiding us through this twisted and suspenseful world. And to you listening, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into The Good Doctor. Remember, sometimes the truth is more complicated than it appears, and sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we need to watch out for the most.